The California Killer series, Book 2, Killer Love, by the Jeffreys. Chapter The mountains were always the most beautiful at the break of dawn. Hues of red, orange, and yellow streaked across a silvery blue sky, the lakes glistened like crystals, and the rocks and stones sparkled like white diamonds. Prime stretched as he gazed out of his window, overlooking the kingdom that would soon belong to him. He eagerly prepared to meet with his aging mother and father, king and queen of the mountains of the moon, to discuss his future. Prince Prime, the only son and heir to the throne, was beloved by all inhabitants and creatures of the mountains. Moonian smiled and wished him good morning as he strolled through the palace towards his parents' chambers. Standing before his parents, their old age more evident than usual, they had never been more proud of him. Yet, despite their confidence in his potential as a ruler, his father had made it clear that Prime wouldn't be crowned king until he weds. "Prime, my son," his father began, his voice a blend of authority and affection, "the time has come for you to find a companion who will stand by your side and rule this kingdom with you." Prime nodded, understanding the weight of his father's words. "I know, father, but I have yet to find a woman who captures my heart and soul." His mother, Queen Leora, gently placed her hand on his. "Love will find you, Prime. Trust in the journey." Being immortal, Prime faced the pressure of maintaining his bloodline or courting a mortal woman. He had courted many women, but none had captured his heart. So, Prime decided to travel across the sea to the Land of Immortals, believing he would surely find a suitable companion there. The Land of Immortals was the land of Hercules. Chapter 2. As Prime arrived ashore, he saw a woman gathering stones and shells along the shore. This woman was Athena. Stricken by her beauty, he said nothing. She continued along but looked back cautiously at Prime, unaware of his nature. She headed back to the entryway of the castle. Unforgettable, Prime stood frozen as he watched her walk through the gates of the castle. In his mind, she was the one he'd been searching for. He wanted to meet her. Prime approached the castle and was greeted by soldiers questioning him. He explained his journey and who he was. The soldiers then informed Prime that the woman he was staring at was Princess Athena, daughter of Hercules. They warned Prime about Hercules' protectiveness and power, explaining how no man had proven worthy of his daughter's courtship. "Who dares approach the castle of Hercules?" one guard demanded. "I am Prime, Prince of the Mountains of the Moon," Prime responded confidently. "I seek an audience with Hercules." The guards exchanged wary glances. "You seek to court Princess Athena? Be warned, many have tried and failed." Prime decided to challenge Hercules. But before he did, he wanted to meet Athena. That day, Prime rested and thought about Athena the entire night. The next morning, he awoke early and noticed Athena exiting the castle. He decided to follow her. Unknowingly, she realized she was being followed and inconspicuously prepared herself for an encounter. She meticulously gathered rocks and sand as Prime approached. Once he was close enough, she threw the sand and rocks into Prime's face. "Who are you and why are you following me?" Athena demanded, her eyes blazing with defiance. Disoriented but persistent, Prime begged Athena to wait a moment. "Please hear me out. I mean you no harm. My name is Prime. I have travelled far to meet you." Athena paused, her curiosity piqued. "And why would you come all this way for me?" Prime wiped his face and began to explain his journey and who he was. Athena was shocked and immediately apologetic for her defensive nature. Prime laughed and shared his admiration for her tenacity. As they conversed, a sense of ease grew between them. With the morning sun rising over them as they sat in the sand, a siren alarmed. Losing track of time, Athena stumbled as she raced back to the castle. Chapter 3. Her father awaited her as she entered the courtyard, wondering what had taken her so long. She had counsel later, and they must prepare. She explained the story of Prime and expressed her liking for his coming. Defensive and protective, Hercules demanded to meet Prime. He wanted to see for himself this immortal man. "Father, I met a man today," Athena began, hesitant but hopeful. Hercules' eyes narrowed. "Who is this man that has captured your attention?" "He is Prime, Prince of the Mountains of the Moon," Athena replied. "He wishes to meet you." Soldiers met Prime in the courtyard to request his presence at the council that very night. Prime accepted and prepared himself. In his mind, Athena was the woman he would marry and bring home to his kingdom. As he entered the council meeting, he was met with great distaste and scrutiny. Hercules came from his throne face to face with Prime to see for himself what his daughter had described with such jubilation. As they stared into each other's eyes, Hercules challenged Prime. He explained that he demanded immortal lineage, and no man unworthy would have his daughter's hand. "I have heard of your strength, Prime," Hercules said, his voice a low growl. "But words are not enough. You must prove your worth." Prime accepted. Prime was a warrior, born with strength and the rage of a bellowing beast trapped within the fires of hell. Properly nourished, he had the ability to heal, deeming himself immortal. He had journeyed to find land but found love with Athena. Athena was a princess to a powerful, immortal king by the name of Hercules. Daughter to Hercules, she was half-mortal and gifted with the heart of a warrior, yet so beautiful that no man or beast could be swayed away from her charm. She was irresistible and often considered the perfect imbalance. While bearing such a warm and addictive nature, her heart weakened in the cold. Her safety each night came with warmth. Within shelter she flourished. Hercules refused to allow his daughter to court any man until he deemed him a suitable candidate. Knowing the truth of his daughter's mortality, he wished to strengthen his bloodline. Any man that wished to court his daughter must prove immortality and face him in battle. A great battle ensued, leaving Prime bruised and beaten but victorious. However, embarrassed and beaten, Hercules reneged and banished Prime from the castle. Athena was baffled and shamed her father for his cowardly acts, threatening to leave and hold him to the deal. Hercules, appalled by his daughter's actions in his moment of vulnerability, told Athena to leave and never return, exposing her mortality and emphasizing his previous desire for a son. Athena's heart sank. Broken-hearted and confused, she left to follow Prime. Chapter 4. One breath. One sound. One heartbeat. Together, a well-oiled machine. Unforeseen circumstances brought them together on this journey, and they'd stuck together since. With her by his side, he managed to conquer every obstacle. He worshipped the ground she walked on and praised the gods for bringing her. Without her, he accomplished nothing. Before her, his rage grew uncontrollable. Together, she tamed and suppressed the inner demon that tormented him throughout life. Together, he fueled her powers by encouraging and pushing her to position behind him, the most powerful placement for her to be in. Together, they deciphered the ancient scripture sent from the gods above. Each line provided guidance to their survival. Let any two of the chosen ones come together, and they shall discover these words and be fruitful, though we are one. We are not at our fullest potential when we are at each other's side. When she is behind and just a few steps to his left, she is able to look ahead and warn for any signs of danger coming his way. This allows for him to focus solely on defending and protecting her. His power is in front, our power is be behind. He looks so out. E protects. His is true balance and the key to survival. While they easily fell into this balance, they would soon learn that it wasn't easy to maintain. Unexpected change is the disruptor of balance, and unfortunately, it was not a stranger to the environment they'd chosen to live in. With no foreseen warning, they had no time for proper preparation. Ready or not, a terribly drastic change was on the horizon. Chapter 2. Long, cold winters together, and they'd managed to flourish each day. But this year was different. This year felt different. The winds had gotten colder, resources had become limited. The nature they once loved was becoming a detriment to their survival. As dusk approached each day, 3 things became vital for their survival: food, water, and shelter. Each day they flourished and basked in the bounties that nature provided. But today, hours away from darkness, there was no food, no water, and no shelter. An unsettling aura brewed with each passing hour until the sun finally set. They looked to each other for answers. She wondered if the man she'd chosen to follow would guide them. He wondered if the woman he'd chosen would follow. Both had growing concerns, but neither was comfortable addressing them. As darkness grew, the howls within the shadows became more apparent. 2 long winters and they'd always managed to find shelter. Without knowing, and without choice, tonight would be their hardest test together. Chapter as the sun finally set without shelter, they decided their safest way through the night was to continue travelling. Step by step, they watched as the shadows darkened around them. Growing with fear, Athena grabbed hold of Prime as they continued walking through the forest. In her world, she had been as great as the team she'd built. In his, he had been as strong as his weakest link. Nature, unfortunately, had always established a food chain for survival. Love bore no weight against death, each with an ultimate goal of survival. Their value to each other had always proven to be a priority. Tonight would be their test. Tonight, each would have to make a decision to survive, to trust or to live. The sounds of the forest seemed louder than usual. The wind was crippling and there were no stars in the sky tonight. After many long hours of searching, food and shelter seemed to no longer exist in their land. Worried and confused, they both fell silent to their thoughts as they contemplated their next moves. As they stopped to sit near the river, Athena began to notice Prime's growing frustration. This made her move in closer to him. In her attempts to comfort him, she noticed that the fire within him didn't feel as hot as it once did. His inner flame was burning out, and without his warmth, Athena knew she wouldn't have much longer to live. "Athena," Prime said softly, "we need to find shelter soon. This cold is taking its toll on you." Athena nodded, her eyes filled with worry. "And you, Prime, you need food. I can see the fatigue in your eyes." Prime stared off into the distance. Athena followed Prime's gaze across the river. Prime had spotted a boat. As if they shared one mind, they stood holding hands but solemnly looked straight ahead into the water. As the haze of the night skies fell upon them and the boat approached closer, they saw that it was accompanied by passengers. Fear grew within Athena as she reached for Prime for comfort. They both knew they weren't alone, but it had been months since they'd seen anyone in the forest. For any mortal man or woman, travelling by sea was a death sentence during the winter. There were harrowing tales about sea creatures with dark powers that had eaten and swallowed the souls of travellers, leaving nothing but corpses and bounties to return ashore. Cautious of what this new presence might bring, Prime pulled Athena to find cover before they were seen. Unspoken, they both understood the dilemma they now faced. Prime hadn't eaten, and fatigue was beginning to take its toll. Without proper nourishment, he was powerless, and as mortal as any man. He wondered if he'd have enough strength to protect Athena if a battle ensued. Athena also wondered, but she questioned her loyalty. Reality was setting in for her that they might not find food soon enough to nourish Prime. Her life had been dependent on his warmth and survival. If a battle ensued and he was killed, she would be alone. She wondered if the passengers on the boat were not mortals. Would she be able to woo them? No mortal could survive the treacherous seas this time of year. She loved and cherished her time with Prime, but if this ship carried immortals, maybe they'd be a viable option for her survival. As the boat settled onto shore, Athena and Prime both crouched into cover. They waited, and they waited, but there'd been no movement. As the moments passed, Prime began to wonder if they'd been spotted. Uneasy, he expressed to Athena his desire to wait longer. "Athena," he whispered, "we need a plan. We can't just sit here." Athena formed a plan to sacrifice herself for their survival. "Prime, I will go to the boat in hopes of finding help and refuge. I will woo and control whoever is aboard. Once aboard, I'll convince them to bring you and take us to Eris, the land of the living. If we can get to Eris, we'll find food and water. Once nourished, we can return at full strength and continue our journey home. Prime was hesitant, but their options were minimal. He decided to go along with the plan and wait while Athena walked to the ship. Chapter 7. Prime understood he must trust Athena. This boat could get them to Eris, the land of the forgotten. Prime could feel Athena shivering. He knew if he wanted to get to Eris, he'd have to go alone. But if he left her side, she would die tonight. Heartbroken, Athena watched as Prime paced, making his way closer to the river. Suddenly, a hooded figure appeared and approached her. "Who are you?" Athena demanded, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. The hooded figure pulled back their hood, revealing a woman with striking blue eyes and a serene expression. "I am Selene, guardian of the sea. I sensed your distress." Prime stopped pacing and turned to face Selene. "Can you help us?" Selene nodded. "I can, but you must trust me. The journey to Eris is perilous, and many do not survive." Prime and Athena exchanged glances. "We have no other choice," Prime said firmly. "We need to survive." Selene gestured to the boat. "Come aboard. I will guide you to Eris. But be warned, the sea is treacherous, and you must be prepared for anything." As they boarded the boat, Prime and Athena felt a glimmer of hope. The journey ahead was uncertain, but together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 8. The boat rocked gently as they set sail, the cold wind biting at their skin. Selene navigated the waters with ease, her presence a calming influence amidst the uncertainty. "Athena, Prime," Selene said, her voice carrying over the sound of the waves. "Tell me more about your journey. Why do you seek Eris?" Prime glanced at Athena before speaking. "We have been searching for a place where we can find food and shelter. The winters have been harsh, and we have barely survived. We need to regain our strength." Selene nodded. "Eris is a land of abundance, but it is also fraught with danger. You must be prepared to face challenges unlike any you have encountered before." Athena shivered, her thoughts heavy with the weight of their situation. "We will face whatever comes our way. We have no other choice." The night grew darker, the sea around them seeming to come alive with whispers and shadows. Prime stood at the bow of the boat, his eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. "Athena, stay close," he said, his voice tense. "We don't know what lies ahead." As the hours passed, they encountered fierce waves and eerie silence. Selene guided them with unwavering confidence, her knowledge of the sea evident in every move she made. Finally, as dawn approached, they saw the faint outline of land on the horizon. Eris. Chapter. They docked the boat on the shores of Eris, the air warm and fragrant with the scent of blooming flowers. Selene led them to a clearing where they could rest and gather their strength. "Welcome to Eris," she said, her voice soft. "But remember, this land is not without its dangers. Stay vigilant." Prime and Athena nodded, their hearts heavy with both hope and trepidation. They had made it to Eris, but their journey was far from over. As they explored the island, they discovered an abundance of food and fresh water. Prime's strength began to return, his body healing with each passing day. Athena flourished in the warmth, her beauty radiant once more. But with each day, they also encountered new threats. Strange creatures roamed the island, and they had to remain on guard at all times. One evening, as they sat by a fire, Prime turned to Athena. "We need to find a way to secure our place here. We can't keep running from danger." Athena nodded, her eyes determined. "We'll do whatever it takes to survive, Prime. Together." Chapter 10. Their days on Eris were filled with both challenges and discoveries. They learned to hunt and gather, to navigate the island's treacherous terrain, and to defend themselves against the creatures that lurked in the shadows. One night, as they sat by the fire, Selene approached them with a solemn expression. "There is something you must know," she began. "Eris is not just a land of abundance. It is also a place where ancient powers reside, powers that can either help you or destroy you." Prime frowned. "What do you mean?" Selene sighed. There is an ancient artifact hidden on this island. It holds immense power, but it is also cursed. If you find it, it could either be your salvation or your downfall. Athena and Prime exchanged worried glances. How do we find it? Athena asked. You must follow the clues left by those who came before you, Selene explained. But be warned, the journey will be perilous, and you will face many trials. Prime took Athena's hand. We have no other choice. We need that power to secure our future. With Selene's guidance, they set off on their quest to find the artifact. The path was fraught with danger, and they had to rely on their wits and strength to survive. Chapter 11. The journey to find the artifact was filled with treacherous obstacles. They faced raging rivers, steep cliffs, and cunning traps set by those who had sought the artifact before them. As they ventured deeper into the island, they encountered a series of ancient ruins. The walls were covered in cryptic symbols, and they had to decipher the clues to find their way. One evening, as they rested in one of the ruins, Athena noticed a faint glow coming from a hidden chamber. "Prime, look," she whispered, pointing to the light. They carefully approached the chamber, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Inside, they found a pedestal with a glowing orb resting on it. "This must be it," Prime said, his voice filled with awe. Athena reached out to touch the orb, but Selene's warning echoed in her mind. "Be careful," she whispered. "We don't know what kind of power this holds." As Athena's fingers brushed the orb, a surge of energy coursed through her. She felt a connection to the island, to the ancient powers that resided within it. "We can use this," Athena said, her eyes glowing with determination. "We can protect ourselves and secure our future." Prime nodded, his resolve strengthening. "Together we will overcome anything." With the power of the artifact, Prime and Athena were able to create a safe haven on Eris. They built a shelter, gathered food, and defended themselves against the island's dangers. But with the power came new challenges. The artifact's energy attracted the attention of other creatures on the island, and they had to remain vigilant at all times. One night, as they sat by the fire, Prime turned to Athena. "We have come so far, Athena, but we must be careful. This power can either be our salvation or our downfall." Athena nodded, her eyes filled with determination. "We will use it wisely, Prime. Together we can overcome anything." Their journey was far from over, but with each day they grew stronger. Together they faced the challenges of Eris, their love and determination guiding them through the darkness. As they looked out over the island, they knew that their future was uncertain. But with the power of the artifact and their unbreakable bond, they were ready to face whatever came their way.